On board. Just 2 years ago, Todd Gurley was the top offensive player in the NFL ahead. Adam Schefter has the latest on the Rams' concerns surrounding Gurley's knee. But first, Sage joining us from a familiar place. Hi, Sage.
Yes. Hi, Kevin, back here in the Bay for the fifth straight year. But I got to tell you, this time it just feels completely different for the Golden State Warriors. First and foremost, because this is as banged up as this team has been since their impressive NBA Finals run began back in 2014. It is getting worse and worse by the day, it seems. It's not just Kevin Durant right now. Unfortunately for the two-time defending champions, Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala, and Kevon Looney are all hurt. Less than 100% to say the least. Let's update you on all the news coming out of practice today. Klay Thompson listed as questionable heading into tomorrow's Game 3 after suffering a mild strain to that hamstring in Game 2. He did do some shooting around today. Keep in mind, he has never missed a playoff game in his career. Here is Klay now on how he feels heading into Game 3.
It'll be a game-time decision, but for me personally, it'd be hard to see me not playing. So hopefully I'll feel much better tomorrow and be a go for tip-off. Obviously, I'll do anything I can to be out there, but it's all in their hands, and if there's any pain, it'll be a no-go just because of the position we're in. This could be a longer series, so there's no point in trying to go out there and re-aggravate it. It's much better than it was Sunday night, so hopefully the same progress will be made, and I'll be moving like my normal self tomorrow, but pain level wasn't too crazy at all.
The Warriors fans certainly holding their breath for the health of Klay Thompson. For the 8th straight game, Kevin Durant will not play. This goes back to the calf injury he suffered in Game 5 of the Western Conference semis against the Rockets. They're 6-1 without him in the lineup, with the lone loss coming in Game 1, of course, of this series against the Raptors. However, Warriors head coach Steve Kerr did say Kevin Durant is improving. Listen.
So Kevin won't play tomorrow, but he's ramping up his exercise routine, his workouts. He did not get on the floor here. He was here for our film session and for some treatment, but he'll be getting some work in this afternoon. He's out for tomorrow, but improving, and we'll just keep updating you when we have something.
More news for the Golden State Warriors. Kevon Looney, one of the key rotation players, he is out now for the rest of this series with a non-displaced first costal cartilage fracture. It's official terms by the doctors, but in other words, it's not good. Some good news, though, for this team. Andre Iguodala will play in Game 3 after hitting that three-pointer that sealed the win and even the series on Sunday. But boy, what a confluence of just issues for this team as they head into our preparations for Game 3 of the NBA Finals tomorrow night here in Oakland. Here's some facts for you. After Game 2, Steph Curry said strength in numbers was in the Warriors' DNA, and he is not wrong. They've already used 9 different starting lineups this postseason, the most by any team in a single postseason since starters were first tracked, and that's way back in 1971. Keep that in mind. They played 12 different guys in clutch time this postseason, 12. That is tied for the most for any team in the last 20 postseasons. And the lineup they used on Iggy's game-sealing 3 in Game 2 was the only time those 5 saw the court together this entire postseason. That's incredible. And it's gone beyond next man up because the Warriors have had 15 different scores. That's tied for the most in a single postseason in league history. Everybody that could possibly step up has, as Draymond Green said today.
We've been, faced with a bunch of different injuries now, Loon being the latest, and guys have continued to step up. It's the reason that we are in this position we're in right now, where we're coming home with a series tie 1-1 with a chance to go up 3-1 with these 2 games here at home. We got to continue to channel that same energy that we've been having.
KD is out, Looney is out, Klay is questionable. Do you come into Game 3 with any sort of sense of urgency that this is an opportunity you guys really have to seize?
I think we come into a sense of urgency, period. No matter, the situation, we want to win as many games. We want to be the first to 4, and every game is an urgent game. You're in the NBA Finals, so it doesn't matter. They still got professional basketball players down there, and they're really talented basketball players. So you still got to be ready to go out there and play your butt off and play hard.
Good answer by Kyle Lowry. Sports Around the Road is presented by Rocket Mortgage, by Quicken Loans, as we welcome you back here. Lake Chalet in the beautiful Bay Area, Oakland, California. This is our home for off days, although there's no such thing as an off day when it's the NBA Finals. Stephen A. Smith joins me now, and if there were ever a time that strength in numbers applies, it is now, and it's really unlike anything we've ever seen in this 5-year NBA Finals run by the Golden State Warriors. So if you are Steve Kerr, there's a lot of concerns you have. What's your biggest concern?
Well, my biggest concern is Klay Thompson because he's averaging 23 on 53% shooting from the field, about 58% shooting from three-point range in the first 2 games, and he's one of the great marksmen we have ever seen in the game's history. You need somebody like him, not just to give you the point production, the marksmanship, sniper-like production that you get from him, but also to take some of the pressure off of Steph Curry, because as beautiful of a player and as much of an elite sniper as Steph Curry is, he has one problem. He's relatively skinny, and when you're that skilled, all right, and you're that slim, when they can't beat you with skill, what do? They try to hurt you. They get physical with you, and that's certainly something that would work to the Warriors' disadvantage at this particular moment in time. And where is the evidence? It's very, very simple. Kevon Looney is out with the collarbone. Kevin Durant is out with the calf. Andre Iguodala was almost out with the calf. You had Boogie Cousins out with his quad, and obviously you got Klay Thompson with his hamstring. So you got 5 guys that legitimately might not make it through Game 3.
Right.
So it's one of those situations where if you're the Golden State Warriors, it's an elevated level of concern in that regard.
I mean, there's 5 different things. There isn't just one concern. There's several. So now enter rookie head coach Nick Nurse, who has been just excellent at making adjustments this entire season. It's like a chess match for him, especially right now, Stephen A. So if you're Nick Nurse, what's your next move?
Well, first of all, I would duplicate what I did in Game 2. Last 5 minutes or so, he threw a box and one on Steph Curry. Steph Curry is the elite shooter we've ever seen in the game of basketball. It's one thing to take away the primary weapon and dare other people to beat you who can shoot. But what if those people are injured and can't play?
Right.
And all you have to worry about is this guy. You throw that box and one because it clearly worked for them effectively. They went like on a 10-0 run late in the game. They nearly tied the score up. You try to duplicate that feat. This is nothing new for Nick Nurse. He's had about 26 different lineups since the season began, since he started his campaign as the head coach of this franchise. He's not averse to taking chances. He's shown his willingness to do so. And more importantly, usually the decisions that he has made has definitely worked. Remember, switching Kawhi onto the Greek Freak in the Eastern Conference Finals to start off Game 3. These are the kind of things that Nick Nurse has done, and it's worked to perfection. I think you try that box and one now.
21-9 coming off of a loss, and hey, they were this close to making that a win in Game 2 on Sunday. By the way, Stephen A. Smith, as usual, not even close to being done. Did you hear that cheering coming from over there? That's because First Take, a special coming up live here at the top of the hour here on ESPN.
The fans, they have asked for me, and I shall arrive.
Dave F3 here, back home. Sports and on the road, presented by Rocket Mortgage, by Quicken Loans, as you take a look at the beautiful weather here in the Bay Area. I got to say, this is one reason why we love coming back here every single year. The sun always seems to shine, at least on us. Bay Bridge and Lake Chalet, where they have welcomed us once again for our coverage on off days here of the NBA Finals. And on that note, the sun always shines when Brian Windhorst joins us. Thank you, Brian. Good to see you again. But, man, if you're a Warriors fan, this is tough. The friendly confines of Oracle, I don't even know if that's going to matter because of all these players. Let's start with Klay Thompson and that injury. He's not 100%. Wait and see for tomorrow. But basically, it's a domino effect from Klay down.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Warriors are pretty much having to shelve their game plan that they had against Kawhi Leonard, which depended on Andre Iguodala and Klay Thompson as the point men, and then the versatile big men, Draymond Green and Kevon Looney behind. Now Looney is gone. The minutes are going into Andrew Bogut and some minutes into DeMarcus Cousins. They can't play the same way. And one of the members of the Warriors front office told me that the training staff is essentially working miracles to get Iguodala ready for each of these games. And they've been fortunate to have 2 days off, only 1 day off after Game 3. And that's why, even though they're still not having Durant cleared, it makes more sense to try to bring him back in Game 4 because there's only 1 day to recover between 3 and 4. The only time it's that case in the series.
You and I have both been around this team a lot over this finals run. I said at the top of the show, this does feel different. With Kevin Durant in particular, though, again, it's strategic at this point. It's smart to not bring him back Game 3. But even though I feel like the fact that there's still no answers does not bode well.
Yeah, so what they've been saying is that he has to practice before he can play. But the reality, Sage, is teams are not practicing right now. They're going through very light work. It's really going to be up to what Durant feels is okay with that calf, and then the training staff clearing him. They are just waiting for Kevin to be comfortable. And This has obviously gone on farther than they thought. They projected 3 weeks internally. We are now, by tomorrow, it'll be more than 4 weeks. So this is not something they anticipated, and therefore they're just hoping that their treatment they're giving every day will take, and he can give them something at some point in this finals.
Thank goodness that Boogie Cousins has been able to come back as quickly as he has. And thank goodness they brought in Andrew Bogut late in the season as well, because who knows what this team would be doing without that. In the meantime, remember this, no Golden State player over the last 3 seasons has matched up on Kawhi Leonard more than Kevin Durant, even over Klay, Kevin Durant. So the domino effect with him being out and questionable certainly continues to pile up. Brian Windhorst, you're not done yet, because speaking of Kawhi Leonard,
this is interesting.
This is really fascinating, yeah. Kawhi Leonard, it's not about tomorrow's game. Instead, it's a potential off-the-court distraction involving a lawsuit being filed by Kawhi, the former NBA Finals MVP. All right, Kev, let's go back to the NBA Finals as Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors get set for Game 3. News that Kawhi filed a lawsuit yesterday against Nike, alleging that the company is blocking him from using a logo that he says he owns. In the lawsuit, Kawhi says Nike filed a copyright application for a logo that he designed and did so unbeknownst to him and without his consent. That's a quote. Kawhi asked about that today at Raptors practice.
I mean, it happened a long time ago. It's probably you guys are just finding out, but it's not a big worry of mine. Like, I've been know about it.
How are you able to sort of process and block out distractions in the course of a game? And is that something that you worked on over the course of your career, or is that just just your personality, do you think?
I mean, I think it just comes natural just by, all NBA players, you know what I mean? It's just so much distractions from playing in high school to college and, becoming a pro. So it's probably just pretty much second nature at this point. And like I said, I know about this, way before even playoffs started. So it's nothing new to me.
Our coverage continues live here from Oakland, California. Let's bring Brian Windhorst back in for this. And Brian, Kawhi Leonard endorses now New Balance, but until 2018, it was Nike, and now he is suing Nike. What more can you tell us about this lawsuit?
There's 2 things that I find remarkable about this. Number one, that this means so much to him, that there's been negotiation with Nike for months, and that he would file a lawsuit during the finals, knowing that it would get public.
Right.
It tells you a little bit about him. We don't know that much about Kawhi, but when he is passionate about something, like when he wanted to leave the Spurs, he will follow through with it no matter how much pain it is. That's a good point going forward. Secondly, the New York Times reported that the Los Angeles Clippers have been trying to buy the logo from Nike. Why would the Clippers want it? So that they could give it to Kawhi as part of their free agent pitch. And I think this just shows how invested the Clippers are in their background research of Kawhi. When you watched Kawhi before he signed with New Balance, anytime you would see him not in a San Antonio Spurs gear, it would be with that logo. Mm-hmm. He loved that logo. We don't know much about him. We know how much he loved that logo. So while this is a trademark dispute, it's a window not only into who Kawhi is, it's a window into the depth of the recruiting that the Clippers, and I promise you other teams, are getting ready for in less than a month.
And oh, by the way, it's interesting because we don't hear much from Kawhi, but when we do, it is even if it's not in a soundbite, he's making a statement by doing this, and he says that it's the hand, that it's his own hand.
He drew it.
He traced himself, right? He's taking this quite personally. Again, with New Balance now, but it was Nike for all those years. We'll see how that plays out. But as in typical Kawhi fashion, no big deal. Surprised you guys didn't know about it till now.
Tomorrow.
I have a feeling you are correct, Brian Windhorst. I think you're done for the day. Get out of here before we change our minds.
This is so nice. I'm just going to get a drink and sit next to you.
Save a drink for me. Brian, thank you. By the way, a former Raptor, just think a year ago, DeMar DeRozan was leading them to the Eastern Conference semis, but was traded to the Spurs in July, in part to get Kawhi Leonard. 9 years with the Raptors, 4 All-Star appearances. It's got to be tough, don't you think, for DeMar DeRozan to watch his Raptors finally get here to the finals for the first time ever without him? DeRozan talked about that today. Listen to what he said.
Honestly, I don't even think I said this. I probably said this to my own inner circle, but if it wasn't for all the years and groundwork that I did before then, none of them things would have been possible. Yes, I fought, I sacrificed, I pushed the limits to where I had to be the sacrificial lamb. You just have to sit back and understand, you are the reason so many things was even possible.
All right, Wilbon, is DeMar DeRozan right that he was the sacrificial lamb for the Raptors' success?
I don't know about sacrificial lamb. I read all of DeMar DeRozan's comments, Tony, and I understand him feeling bad. I mean, of course he would. I mean, he's the guy that was shipped out of there.
Yep.
And less than a year later, that team that he put blood, sweat, and tears into, left on that court, he is still beloved there. People talk about DeMar DeRozan in Toronto all the time. You can't go a minute without hearing his name. They love him. But the Toronto Raptors are in the finals because they have Kawhi Leonard and because Masai Ujiri made that trade, and it was hard for him to make. But they had to do that, and I feel bad for DeMar DeRozan.
The whole notion of being a sacrificial lamb is that something terrible has happened to you, that you are innocent, but you are cast off in some way and sacrificed for the greater good of everybody else. He and Kyle Lowry were on a lot of playoff teams together that got swept out of the playoffs. They had opportunity, it didn't work. He was obviously rated more highly than Kyle Lowry because he went and brought Kawhi Leonard back, right? So the Spurs thought he was a better player, and this is what happens. Look, Mark Jackson was a fine coach with Golden State. He built something there. But Steve Kerr came in, took him over the top. Yeah. This is 5 championships, finals in a row. Steve Kerr's got to get a lot of credit. These things happen in basketball.
They do.
One thing turns it.
But, Tony, they're difficult things, and I understand DeMar DeRozan. Let's give him credit for this. He didn't say, I hate them, I hope they lose.
He loves them.
He said, no, these are my friends.
That's
I was there. He took the high road.
Right.
Good for DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
That's it. We're done. Back to you.